this is it. This is the very heart of Berlin, at least in my eyes, the heart of Berlin. We're here at the Mercedes-Platz. This can be reached by everything: bus, tram, foot, even by water. We can see the ferries that take you here. This is a prime location where we'll be having the major. And guys, you will not want to miss it. It also sits on the River Spree as well, which gives you just beautiful scenery all around. The Verti Music Hall just behind me is home to a lot of musical events from all over the world. But most importantly, this year esports is taking over. We're going to have some of our CSGO major in there, and there is also going to be a League of Legends event. Mercedes-Benz Arena is the home stadium for ice hockey and basketball clubs. On this stage, you've also seen world-class performing acts such as Metallica, Scorpions, Madonna, Christina Aguilera, and soon some of the best CSGO teams in the world. And this September, this will be our home. The Mercedes-Benz Arena is going to be where your CSGO major is taking place. And you know who will be there? We'll have Astralis, we'll have Liquid, we'll have ENCE, we'll have NAR. The best teams in the world fighting it out here in Berlin. Every day at 7:30 p.m. and 10 p.m. 96 fountains will shoot up 4 meters high. A lot of people come here to watch it. It's very pretty, it looks good. You may be crazy enough like me to be doing this while filming and potentially getting soaked all the way through. I want to move pretty soon, so I think we should start going that way. And this is it from the Mercedes-Benz Platz. You've got the arena just behind me over there. I am sat on this lovely rooftop bar where you can get some drinks, some snacks, chill out in between the games. But that's the main thing. There is so much for you guys around here as well. Restaurants, place to eat, place just to sit and chill with friends. So you will not run out of things to do in Berlin. Hopefully you've seen that throughout these videos. But guys, make sure you go and get yourselves over to the major. I can't wait to see some of you guys there. And for the rest of you, just enjoy the show because this is going to be one epic major.
coming up. This is unbelievable. Simple. Oh, he's done it as well. 5 seconds.
Welcome back, everybody, to The Miners. We're right here in Berlin, live and direct, coming at you quick, fast, and in a hurry. My name is Trace Saranthus, and I am your host this morning. We got one more best of 3 on my agenda, and then we're going to be catching up with the rest of the CIS Miner later. Of course, couldn't do this alone, wouldn't even begin to try, or perhaps I would, but not today. We'll save that for a different day, because today I have Bleh, I have Maniac, and these guys, they're out of their minds.
Are we? Are we there yet? I think we're quite sane.
We're getting
It's been
there.
okay. It's been okay.
Close by. Close by.
Give or take a few insanity cells. Either way, guys, we've got the bracket that's kind of shaping up in front of us. Now we've got Avant taking on Tai Lu. That'll be the the second match of the day, the one that we're about to jump into. We already saw Greyhound pretty much just decimate MVP PK, kind of leaving them speechless and also leaving them in an elimination bracket and a matchup. Well, that'll be a little bit later on with pending the loser of this game.
Yeah, that was a bit of an upset for me. I was hoping that MVP would be able to put up more of a fight against Greyhound. But, you know, the Aussies, they get on their dominance ship. They just sail through this miner so far. No one is really testing them, destroying everyone that's in their path. So good on them. They're one match away or one best of 3 victory away from the major. But we have another game coming.
At what point do they become like in contention for the boys instead of the other boys?
Ooh. Actually, no, you actually say that, right? If you look at Renegades early this year, they were looking so very good. They're a top 10 team. They were beating all the big boys out. Everyone's like, this team's are going to be a contender. Major run as well, yeah. And then all of a sudden, I think it was from Sydney onwards, the Renegades, they really had a rough time there. I think they went out in the groups early on. Greyhound, in fact, had a deeper run. And right now, they're shaping up to be maybe fighting for the title, like you said, Trace.
Which is a crazy phenomenon. What a crazy time to be alive.
CR4
Speaking of crazy things, these two teams have apparently never had to head-to-head together. So, what that tells me is Australia versus China in an ultimate bout of who actually is number 1.
Well, Avant has never really qualified much outside of Australia, have they, right? This is the big event. 3 of these guys are playing their first minor ever. APOC, last time he played a minor was 2 years back, mind you. And for Sterling, of course, he did play with Greyhound. Look at Tai Lu, though. That lineup, if you do follow, even if you don't follow Asian CS, you know a lot of the names here. You have Bented, we have Freeman, the hero of VG game from the previous minor. We got Summer, aka Fancy. I still don't know why he changed his name. I'm going to still call him Fancy because I don't care. And then we have Attacker, and I'm forgetting a name here, but you know who it is.
You know, when you start talking about, changing names, this, that, and there, and the other, you're really only hurting your own brand at that point. Like, just pick one and go with it. Unless your name is, something like XX420 Blaze It,
I'd keep it.
Quick Scope,
Can you imagine a sticker with XX420 Blaze It?
I could imagine it, yeah. What would it look like? What would the signature look like? Now, that's something I can't quite imagine. I would like you to all tell me what you think that looks like. Go ahead and tweet it right directly at me or at StarLadder. I'm sure they will appreciate it. In the meantime, we've got the opportunity to catch up with one man who is not much of a myth anymore, but is a legend. His name is Bentet.
I got Bentet from Tai Lu with me. Now, you guys have got over to the playoffs. Now you'll be facing Avant, but we're going to go back a little bit and see how you got there. So the FFA mix you played against. They started off pretty strong against you guys. They were looking good. They've got 3 FPL players on the team, but was there any concerns for you guys? Were you surprised at how good they were?
I think we know that they have FPL, 3 people do have FPL, and we meet them before in FPL. And also, they do surprise us in the beginning of the round. They do a fast pace, which caught us off guard in some rounds, and then we take relax and just refocus and finally cross the map.
Now, you guys went up against Alpha Red next in the best of 3. Did you expect to see Alpha Red in that position?
Actually, we expect to match against MVP because we know that MVP is the top tier team in Asia also, and we also got surprised by Alpha Red. They win MVP. And also they win 1 map against us, which is very, very good for them.
But for you guys, Overpass was a map that you guys were starting to play a bit more with the previous lineup. You looked pretty good on it as well. What happened for you guys? What went wrong?
I think we didn't do anything wrong. They just play really well. And like what I said, against FFA, against Alpha Red, also sometimes they catch us off guard, which make us not ready at some point. But overall, we didn't think much after that 1 map. We just refocused for the second and third map.
Okay. Now, what have you been doing today? You've had a day off. You now found out you're facing Avant, but what's been the play today?
Yeah, we keep practicing, watching Avant demos. Also, we practice individual, and we just keep practicing. No holiday.
No time for holiday, right? You got to
Yeah.
qualify. That's the main thing. But looking at Avant, they nearly ended up losing a game. They had won at like 14-7 potentially against 5-Power. Watching that game and then thinking about it going into your game, are you feeling pretty confident?
Yeah, we feel confident because we have a good result in bootcamp before this minor, and we also watched their play against 5-Power, and I think Avan is a pretty good team, and we're looking forward to it.
But do you think it's definitely going to be a Tyloo win?
We're confident, yes.
You want to be nice, you want to be modest with it. But you two have never faced off against each other before.
no.
So for this one, is it a little bit more preparation than you would normally need to do?
We do the same preparation as many match.
Hey, good luck tomorrow, man. Let's
Thank
see
you
how
so
it
much.
goes.
Thank you.
And here's the interesting part, right? We can run the stats, we can talk about these players day in, day out. Now, I want to just say it straight away. Not talking about Tyloo directly, not talking about Vintet directly, but when these people are talking about I go and practice on my day off, somebody's lying. Somebody's just straight up lying. I'm going to say it right
You
now.
have information? You have some
Nope.
insider?
Nope, not going there. I'm just
Sources.
saying. I'm calling someone's bluff, but it's not going to be Tyloo's. Anyway, look at these maps, guys. Look at the 100% win rate on Train. Is there a chance that pops up in the BO3 today?
Now it's going to get banned out by Avant. I would be very surprised if they allowed that map through, in
I agree.
particular.
I agree. In general, you would say that the map pool of Tyloo is a little bit deeper than the one of Avant. Obviously, they've been together for a bit longer. There's more experience as well. And what is interesting is that both teams actually played the same kind of map pool, so we should end up in a very interesting situation where both teams know how to play the maps very deeply.
Absolutely. If you look at the two maps that these two teams like picking initially in the best of 3 series, there's always Mirage and Overpass, both the teams, right? I'm expecting you to get banned out by Tyloo early on. That's a map they will always ban out. They're not going to take a chance on that, even though Avant got 16-0'd by
Yeah,
by their
don't read too much into that.
by
yeah.
the other boys. Yeah, they're not going to be reading too much into that one. Vertigo should be banned out by Avant. That's a map that Tyloo can sometimes, as a surprise pick, go in for. I'm expecting to see a traditional Mirage Overpass and maybe a Dust 2 or an Inferno as a decider. But yeah, but we still have time for that.
What about this Avant side? Now, it's a very interesting lineup, a very curious one. We've seen Sterling do a few things. There's a guy named Soju over there that'll probably ruin your day, whether you know it or not. Soju will, in fact, mess your day up. Now, what we have taken this moment to do is to catch up with the head coach of Avant prior to their matchup today.
Avant have made it through by the skin of their teeth in many ways. I've got Sean, who's the manager / coach of the team with me. And the first thing we're going to do is just come back to the beginning, right? Because you guys had the opener, and it was on Dust 2.
Yeah.
Now, yes, it was 16-9, but it was still closer than maybe what the scoreline gives. But how was it feeling after that, after the initial game?
I mean, we felt quite confident off the back of that. I know we let I guess a few rounds slide on our T side. We had that 14-1 half, and I think the boys took the foot off the accelerator a little bit, as happens, and they were able to close it out though. Credit the 5-Power, they were quite strong on their CT side on Dust 2, so happy they managed to close that out.
Now we get you guys going up against 5-Power again. So we trade out maps, we're going to the decider, and you were 14, it was 6 or 7 up?
Yeah.
And then they started to make a mad comeback. And when we talk about Chinese Counter-Strike, you wouldn't ever say that loud and shouting. You had Zhao Shades, you had Shooter Pie, they were literally shouting. This is the most active I've seen these Chinese players.
Oh yeah.
And they get you to 15-14, you haven't picked up another round. What was going through your head?
Oh, I mean, for me personally, like it's hard, right? You're sitting there and there's nothing much you can do, right? I can't really talk to them too much unless obviously we tack pause. And once again, super proud of them. And I think it's a great learning experience. You know, between the 16-0 and that series, it just helps them grow. We have such a young roster outside of APOC. And a lot of them, this is their first international event. So to get these kind of learning experiences, I think it's going to go a long way to helping us sort of push further within this tournament.
Certainly valuable when it comes to it. Now you've got Tyloo, the bigger dogs when it comes to the Chinese seed.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking there's still some holes you can definitely see in it. But what's the plan? What's the play with this one? Because it's certainly going to be the true test for you guys.
Yeah, so Tyloo's an interesting one. I think as far as Tyloo rosters are concerned, they've got quite a storied history. They've had some good results throughout their times in minors and majors, and qualifying through often with your Renegades and things like that. So The interesting thing for us is I think we've probably done more preparation for Tai Lu. I think we were somewhat preparing for this matchup even beforehand. So 5 power, to be fair, we prepared for as well, but Tai Lu we've definitely looked into quite closely.
Now, honest question, who was the Chad when it came to the 5 power game?
Oh, it's hard. I mean, it's really hard to give it to. I mean, I probably have to give it to Jay Soju.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, he wasn't our top fragger or anything, but every frag he got was so crucial. I think he's leading the tournament now for 1vx clutches. I think he's had 5. He's won every single one that he's been in. That 3K he got earlier in the round, and then one of the overtime rounds where he pulled out a massive play as well. But the same could be said for Sterling. I think there was a lot of individuals really stepping up. Hazard, as our youngest player, 17-year-old, is currently the highest rated player on our team throughout this tournament as well. So I can sort of look in many different directions at the team right now and go, yeah.
Awesome, brilliant stuff, man. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
And if you guys want to find out what being a Chad is, hit up Sterling on Twitter and ask him, because APOC had no idea and I've only just been taken into this crazy world.
Now, I mean, maybe you guys can help me out on this one. There's this old story. It's Hansel and...
Gretel?
No, Hansel and Ewing. Sterling. Hansel and Sterling. Hansel Ferdinand, of course, being Bintet.
Yeah.
And then you have Ewing Moore over there, which is Sterling. This is the heads-to-head that I want to talk about. These two players, obviously being highlighted amongst their own sides. We get to see them go in a best-of-3 head-to-head.
And this is a very exciting prospect because to me, Sterling has been one of the 2 shining lights of Sign of Event. I really like the way he plays with the AWP. I feel like he knows how to play aggressive and defensive. We've seen him have crazy one-man action, both in a very protective and defensive position, but also he knows how to be aggressive and proactive when he needs to be. And even throughout the games where Event were having really big trouble, I feel like Sterling was always there.
I think it comes down to experience as well. He has been in some of his crunchy situations. I might even say more than even APOC has, despite APOC being the tenured player in the team, right? Because he has played with Greyhound in some of the more bigger events out there, and he does have the experience, would just help out for him. Speaking of Bintet, ever since he stopped calling, he has really upped his game once more again. So that could be the deciding factor here.
Maybe it's just a focus thing, or maybe we just shift our focus over to the map vetoes. First one's
So
going
far-
to be Overpass, no matter what you say about it, Maniac.
So far, that's a 100% prediction rate, I would say. Vertigo and Nuke, we said, would be removed.
Yep.
That makes sense. As we said, Tidal doesn't play Nuke, and Avant, why would they take the risk of letting Vertigo in the pool?
Absolutely. And for Tai Lu, the scary thing is the Mirage, that B bomb side CD defense, especially against an FFA mix, was very, very shaky. I hope they fix it, because if they haven't, this Mirage pick could come and bite them in the butt. But then again, this is what we expected, right?
If we have Inferno as a third, are we going Cante Plus? Do we win the whole bonus?
I think
actually.
I think we just hit the casino after this.
They
you know?
bring a big check in here, and you kind of get this whole thing.
Let's
but
go in it.
It could definitely be an Inferno, couldn't
I mean, Train would be... There you go.
knew it.
My God,
I hope
we're so
someone
good
in the
at this,
production can
Maniac.
just do some noise of like tingles and...
There you go.
Anyway, we had the veto, right? Sometimes it works.
You made
sometimes
your
it doesn't.
own drum roll type thing, if you want to call it that. Either way, we got our first map. That's all that matters. Overpass, that's where we go. And when you look at the teams that's been played against here from either Tai Lu or the Avant side, obviously there's a disparity.
Well, the thing about Overpass is that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, soon.
go on.
I feel like historically it was one of Tidal's
Yes.
very, very good maps, right?
Yes.
And it is also a map which allows a lot of individual freedom, and I feel like a player like Bintet could completely dominate the game. He could take over on a map like Overpass.
The thing with this particular Tai Lu is back then it was excret calling, and the guy, you know, he struggled individually. I am very aware he struggled individually as an AWPer, but his calling style is very different. Right now his calling is Summer, Fancy, who has never really impressed me with his in-game leading abilities, Trace.
Well, here's something that impresses me is when you guys head over to gg.bet and you check out these odds. Here's what the odds and bookmakers told us about the game. gg.bet, of course, providing all of the odds therein, an official partner of StarLadder. Now, if we continue down the path of things that are official partners of StarLadders, what do we think lands next?
I do believe it's Strafe.
Oh my
Esports app.
goodness, you are right.
That's
Do
a
not
home run.
forget about your votes in the upcoming match using the Strafe Esports app. Available now on the iOS and Android. So, what it looks like is Tai Lu, number 1, Avant, well, number 8%.
Yes.
That's
Number
a
8%.
pretty... I don't agree with those. I think this could be a little bit more closer than that.
Okay, let's play good and evil then, because I totally agree. So you
Oh,
make your
wow.
case. Why is it actually a closer game than the stats would say, or the odds would say?
You're going to have to do it fast.
Because Tai Lu is a big question mark right now. The new in-game leader, new lineup. They have the firepower, but can they click is a question mark here.
All right, am I supposed to answer to that? Because I don't believe any of that. I think that individually speaking, Tyloo is miles ahead, more experience, more tenured player, and Avant, they had trouble closing the game yesterday. That's not a good omen.
Okay, well, I'm going to let you guys arm wrestle it out in the green room. In the meanwhile, we're going to get into this game without any more hesitation. It's time to kick off the second BO3 of the day, one with a lot of implications here. Tyloo and Avant head-to-head, what could be 3 maps. So here we go.
Tyloo have had their issues, but so have Avant. This really is one of those games similar to what we were casting earlier. Well, at least we thought it would be close between Greyhound and MVP.
Didn't happen.
It is a difficult one to call because Tyloo, coming into this, I think one of the favorites,
Absolutely.
but they had very early slips.
Yeah, and most definitely, and one of them being on the very map that we're going to kick things off on. Losing Overpass to Alpha Red early on. I think the problem for us, because we cover one part of the Asian games and not the other, that's where pretty much Alpha kept upsetting MVP, taking a map off of Tyloo and so on. So we don't really know if that's a case of Tyloo completely dropping the ball, if it's the Thai CS, revitalization or just revolution. This is where they're starting to put themselves on the map or not. We don't know the exact specifics to how those losses came about, but just going from what we know in terms of history, this has to be a bit of an upset, and this is Tyloo kind of dropping the ball. Kind of alluded to it on the desk as well. It's been a good map for them in the past, but that was obviously with Excurate calling and also opping on the map, having pretty significant presence.
Bentet did say that the two teams haven't met each other before. There's going to be some queries and some doubts, but Tyloo have played against consistently higher level teams in the past.
Oh, yes.
So it'll be easier for Avant to dip into them. You saw they had a loss against Liquid, 16-7 on Overpass.
Well, definitely been more on the international stage than Avant has. I think this has been touched on 4, debutantes pretty much, more or less on the bigger stage. Even though APOC's been around, not necessarily been traveling too much to international events. Sterling having obviously experience from the previous minor. But that's about it. Slow approach here from Avant towards the E-bombs and a very, very passively set up Tyloo's defense.
It's a passive push against a passive default, but Summer, off the back of the train, they're trying to erode and whittle away the terrorists that are trying to impose their will upon the CTs. And so far, they are going to get a couple kills, plus the bomb plant. Bentet tries to spin around for the second headshot, but at least they have culled them down to a 2-on-2. That equality has been quickly rectified, though, from Avant's perspective. An attacker going to have to live up to his name on his endeavors back onto the site. They're peeking him one by one. This is so dangerous for Avant. That should have been both peeking simultaneously. An attacker doesn't have a kit just now. He's going to have to tickle the bomb and try and get Hazza up close. The youngster coming in head first, and he'll have it taken off. There's going to be enough time for the defuse as well. Tyloo going to get the pistol.
Yeah, a little bit labored, but luckily Attacker is able to close it out for them. It's going to be interesting to see how Tyloo play this out. Again, I don't think there's any question that this current lineup has more individual skill than the one with Captain Mo, Excurate in it. Mainly because, again, Captain Mo was very experienced and brought a fair few intangible to the team. Didn't quite live up to par, on average with what Attacker and Summer does. The only issue for me is that Summer's been such a tease throughout the entirety of his career. Came out through, actually pretty early on. He got the spotlight, from the Chinese region, being one of the guys who just laid waste to anyone that would go up against him, as long as it was Chinese opposition or Southeast Asian opposition. And just never able to actually replicate that once he got into international tournaments. And it's been a bit of a disappointing arc for his career in that sense.
Yeah, there's a player that comes up, and this may not necessarily make the most amount of sense, so bear with me, but do you remember Twanu?
Twanu, yeah.
He had this kind of rise to prominence and kind of disappeared after some pretty intense gameplay. As we're talking over them, just getting completely swatted away. Tyloo with a comfortable 2-0, but that's always kind of the feeling I had with Twanu as well. Like, he had so much potential, but never really delivered.
Yeah, there are a fair few players who kind of just hit a plateau or are not able to adjust their game, because it's a very different world playing Tier 3, Tier 2 Counter-Strike. Well, not Tier 2 necessarily, but Tier 3 Counter-Strike and below to actually making it onto the biggest stage and playing versus teams that are professional through and through in their approach to the game and how they actually play it. If you can't really adjust, then yeah, you're in for a bit of a rough time. And Summer seemed to have been one of those players that really not quite got it. We'll see if that's changed up, though. Still very skilled individual by all means, but it's not going to be enough to really get you to the top. But so far, Tyloo are doing a good job of things. And as you said, the previous investment from Avant didn't pan out, so this should be a pretty easy one for the CT side. APOC has made it onto the B bomb side, but it's been vacated completely.
Yeah, and he doesn't have the bomb either, so he is pretty much just going to maybe use this as almost a mini timeout. Not too much else that you can expect to get from this. I mean, Tyloo are a team that I think overall have been kind of flirtation and disappointments at times. They're a team that's boasted so much. I believe it was back at, correct me if I'm wrong here, Ven, because my memory's not the greatest, but Masters Malmo is when we really started to see these guys turn a few heads, make a couple of upsets come into play.
They've had a few. I mean, the Brazilians of Luminosity/SK at the time has obviously had a couple of run-ins with the Chinese. That was actually the first best of 3 they managed to topple a big international team on the side of Tyloo, and that's when we thought they've kind of broken the code, because for the longest time they were a team that would show up initially for tournaments, do a really good job in round 1, almost regardless of who they play against, because they had so much prep time for that one opponent, and then gradually fall off. But being able to, again, win out versus the Brazilians in a best of 3 at a time, this was far before the slump of the Brazilians as well. So it had a lot of weight to it. People expected there to be a bit of a continuation on it, and this would be the rise of Asian CS once again. Because keep in mind, I mean, for those who are, I guess, joining in on Counter-Strike history, you know, from CSGO and that point on, might not have heard of the WNVs of the world, who definitely were a terrifying team to go up against back in 1.6.
And here and now, though, it is a 1-for-1 trade. With a minute to go, APOC going to try and pick up the slack on short, but he is alone. Hasn't really had much to do so far in this half. It's their first rifle round in effect. Soju, one of the players that their coach was talking about with his clutching stats being off the charts, is still alive, albeit just on 27 health. And now A-Site has a lot of terrorists coming its way. Summer did spot him. That's a good flashbang, though. He's going to go in for seconds and thirds. An exquisite hold by Summer. You said
he's got the individual skill,
showing what he's capable of.
And this is the thing, right? You can definitely tell that he knows how to wield a weapon. But for him, this is more, I guess, accustomed to the level that we've seen him dominate against before. For him, it's all about taking that next step. With Bentet, again, a similar fashion in terms of you see him wrecking fools in online matches, LAN matches. Within his region, the difference between Bentet and Summer is the fact that Bentet carried that over to playing against some of the best teams in the world. He would still be the potential 30-round threat, right? Summer hasn't quite gotten there yet. With him calling as well, I mean, you had the entire... Ooh, nice shot there from APOC. Not going to be able to find the follow-up on it, but to continue the point, the fact that Freeman, Summer, also known as Fancy, he had a bit of a breakaway project. You know, if you go back in time and think about the Flash Gaming lineups, where he was meant to be the star player of that team, in addition to doing some in-game leading at certain points of time, and that entire project was just a complete failure. They never did anything at all. They became quickly not even the second best team in China, as Vici had Freeman obviously showing up. So he's got a lot of people to convince. Poor timing from Attacker there.
Freeman 1 HP perched at the back of the site. Does have Summer alongside him. Damage being inflicted. There's the bomb drop down, and Summer with a second. That was a crisp headshot, giving Bentet the opportunity to clutch once again. Summer is having a huge amount of impact thus far.
That was a big one, yeah, absolutely. But again, I think it unlocks a completely unseen potential in Tyloo if they were to have Summer kind of figure it out. Because if you can have the same kind of rise or I guess transition as Bentet has had, you basically get 2 Bentets. That's a pretty terrifying notion to go up against. Even if you are some of the best teams in the world, that's not a fun challenge to have to go up against.
Yeah, because I mean, at one point the meme was that Bentet was sort of the Asian version of Simple. You know, he's in this prison in Tyloo and no one was there to help him out. Sterling, first pick. First time that Avant really have had the ball rolling in their favor.
It's about time it kind of rolls that way as well. 5-0 lead very quickly for Tyloo. Speaking of all the individual skill that is on the side of Tyloo, Freeman hasn't had the greatest of starts, but I think he showcased for everyone during the last minor cycle with Vici that he is just a crazy, crazy talent for the future. I mean, already he's an impactful player. So Tyloo definitely have a lot of cards going there, well, in their hands that can pan out pretty nicely. But again, it's about unlocking that for themselves and finding a way to do it consistently, not just for opening matches, not just here and there in best of ones, but actually becoming a threat. So with the man advantage, Avant has decided to, well, maintain map control over towards A as well. Haven't committed to anything necessarily right off the bat. Tyloo are actually pretty resistant towards rotating over. They feel pretty confident in just having a solo player to hold off that A bomb site, whether it's Summer or in this scenario, Bentet. It could come back to bite Avant here because they're pushing it towards speed.
And Attacker knows with the time they're definitely pushing behind that flashbang. They have to. Attacker and somebody both chipped together. Bentet with 2, and it's another successful hold. Tyloo, they were a player behind on that push, and they made it look as if they had the advantage.
Looks like there were twice as many people on the B-bomb set there. Very well done. And again, if they're going to have confidence in just being able to hold a solo player towards A, that gives you so much freedom. Even if, as you said, they do lose a man early on, it doesn't really change up any of their setups. They don't get too flustered. Bentet also being quick enough about the push forward on A, rotating through restrooms down into underpass, quick enough to get behind Avant to destroy any sort of hope of a push. Ooh. All right, Soju's going to find Bentet. So again, really advantage with Avant. They do have utility and everything they need to, I was about to say, set up for map control, but APOC comes running through the smoke. That's going to be an easy pickoff for Summer. Somebody as well with a secondary op chiming in.
Ooh, not far off. Connecting onto the long player, which is Hazard. Somebody going to get another crack, and he's not going to miss this time around. Sterling, last survivor. Avant need him to at least take some weapons away from Tyloo and keep their economy in somewhat check. Minute to play with.
Oh.
I think he just saw him. I was going to say this from somebody's perspective. Definitely saw him move out the smoke.
Just needed to do a double take. Great confirmation of it. Somebody has been playing magnificently so far in this minor for Tyloo. One of their top-rated players, there's top-rated player, or one of the top-rated players throughout the entirety of it. Sicko still having a pretty significant lead in that one, but it's fun to see. Somebody's always been one of those players who've been very on and off. Him and DD used to be a bit of a fun duo in that sense, who could be either winning out a game for you or just doing really reckless stuff that just leaves your head scratching.
Yeah, back when he was Fancy One.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm thinking about DD.
Oh, DD, sorry, pardon me.
Who's no longer with the team. But yeah, no, it used to be a really fun duo to watch. And somebody's, I guess, if you want to put the art tag on certain players from different regions, we've seen some pretty aggressive players throughout these minors as well. Somebody would definitely be the equivalent of art, I guess, in China. Always looking to play aggressively. Sometimes for the betterment of his team, sometimes not as much.
Ooh,
there we go.
Very nearly a 2-for-1. APOC took the brunt of the damage through his fallen teammate down to 14. And it is just a case of another massacre, really. Bentet has his teammates back covered, anticipating that they would try and retort through the smoke.
Oof.
And there's another one. So, I mean, Bentet's also been chugging along, by the way. Somebody's been having a really solid start. Summer, pardon me, has been having a really solid start. But Bentet's just 1 kill behind him. So someone's
doing it
12,
in silence, right?
Bentet 11, yeah. And they've normally been working together. So if one of them's successful, the other one has just kind of rode on the coattails.
This is pretty worrying, though, if you're Avant. This is your map pick. You're down 8-0, and so far you haven't really been within a shot of any of these rounds. Ace Pistol was the best opportunity you had, Attacker winning out a 1v2 clutch, but in actual weapon rounds, you haven't done anything at all. And you've gotten, well, you had 2 instances of getting an opening pick, too.
That is very true.
Could have the... I mean, if this continues, they might have the odd honor of being the first team to get 16-0 in a minor, but they also might be the first ones to do it twice. Still early days, though. They have multiple chances. And they've been able to bounce back from rough starts in the past as well. We've seen that. Definitely had resiliency. We saw it in the final match to actually put them to this point versus 5-Power.
That's a free as kill as someone could ask for, really. Soju just running out, completely out in the open, no flashes. Another one, Hazard, next player on the chopping block. So Avant, I mean, again, they've had full weapons, they've got utility, but it's just barreling out of control now.
They're not really doing a whole lot with the utility they have, right? That's the issue. And one of the things that you can notice is that Tyloo is completely comfortable giving away map control initially over restrooms and long for a pretty significant amount of time up to Avant. But Avant are not necessarily grouping up. They're still spreading thin because they want to maintain map control, but that's more something you see if you play a team that's consistently being aggressive towards you. So you want to keep tabs on the extremities. Tyloo have yet to do that. Outside of Summer's pushes towards underpass with the op, which is a fairly standard thing. Usually you back out of that position, you know, within the first 25 seconds of the round. After heading down there, you're not really seeing too much of Tyloo trying to force their will onto Avant. So Avant definitely have opportunities to just set up for the most cookie cutter setups and executes, but because they're spreading themselves so thinly, they also get picked apart much more easily. They don't really have an answer for the ops. They don't have enough utility for one person to be able to smoke himself forward, flash, in addition to move ahead closer to a bomb site and dealing with an op. They need to do that by committee, and they're not doing it right now.
I mean, to put it in context, Avant collectively have 14 kills. Summer has 14 by himself.
Yeah.
He's over 160 ADR. He is absolutely smashing them. And the problem here is that on most of the performances we've seen on T side from Avant, Sterling does go quiet. I think he's much more of a solid pick when it comes to playing static and allowing the players to come to him. This is something that also Greyhound were talking about, why they picked up Sicko instead.
Yep.
But additionally, a lot of their success on T side has been off the back of some really big individual performance, whether it be APOC on Mirage, Jira on Inferno yesterday.
Yeah, Hazard in general.
Yeah, Hazard too. He's definitely up there in statistics, or Soju with his clutches. But we haven't seen anybody really pick up the mantle and run with it.
Right now, they're, I guess, running into the same issue that they did versus Greyhound, the fact that they're doing their defaults and working their way forward. They're trying different things, but they haven't found footing with anything at all. So making the adjustment, it's hard to get a good read as to where you need to change things up because you're not actually getting into the final stages of a round. Just getting picked apart before you really put any sort of mark on it. Bentet's going to get aggressive in Playground later into the round, and it has allowed for Soju to slip in behind here, but he's only got a CZ, so it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world to have a lot of impact with it. Does find Bentet, so he's going to pick up a weapon, but it's a 4v2, bombs dropped in T-spawn. APOC with the op up on short.
Additionally, Soju took 81 damage, so he is very, very close to being knocked over additionally. And again, we're in that kind of position that we were discussing in the previous best of 3, where, yeah, MVP maybe get a bit of damage, maybe even could save a couple of decent weapons. But we're getting to crunch time now.
Yeah.
The only currency that matters is round wins, and you have 0 of them. So that has to change right now.
With how this is playing out, I'm thinking 15-0 is much more of a chance than Avant getting 3 rounds at this stage.
Feels that way. Certainly does.
Because they're not even close to really putting Tyloo under pressure.
No, we haven't seen like fakes or trying to make rotations come into play. And to be fair to Tyloo, they've been pretty stubborn. They haven't gone for over rotations. They haven't reacted quickly.
Very true. And I also like what they're doing. They're being consistent about how they're opening up their rounds. You have the 2 Molotovs that go up towards the opening of, I guess if you want to call it the playground pit, and also playground. So you can expend 1 smoke to actually get up, but then you're still locked into a bit of a corner the second you do that. And you don't want to use waste 2 smokes so early, but that allows Tyloo to constantly have the illusion of feigning pressure, and Freeman's got to get a double kill. It's gone from bad to worse. Only 2 players alive. Sterling, well, it's going to fall Jira and APOC to pick up the mantle here. We've got a lot of work to do.
The good news, though, is that all of this has happened in such a small amount of time. They can rotate. They can try and play some mind games with Tyloo, who've ran back Bentet towards the A site. So if they just wait this one out, Tyloo could end up trapping themselves and snaring themselves in that first round. But not going to happen. Somebody perched up on top of the site. The one angle they didn't anticipate is going to be joined by Summer. And the win streak continues. This is looking so very poor right now.
I think it's going to be a 15-0.
He's called it. He's done it.
It just doesn't feel like Avant have any sort of answer to this. The only reason they are going to get around at this stage is if they luck into it. Just has to be individual brilliance that shines through for him. But so far, we haven't seen much of that either. They have had probably 2 rounds where they've gotten a favorable exchange. That's not even an exaggeration, you know? That's not trying to be dramatic about it. They've had 2 openings, at least from what I can recall, and they didn't really do anything with that either.
Well, you're certainly speaking the truth. This has been every bit as one-sided as the scoreline suggests.
I mean, it's a great sign for Tyloo, right? We had our worries with their initial shakiness in their early games, but if this is how they're going to show up for the playoffs, then you'd expect that Greyhound Tyloo battle to be quite the fierce one. But yeah, Avant, what I'd really like to see from them is that they go away from actually being so focused on retaining map control, which sounds weird because normally that's something you want to do, but just have APOC being the late lurk over towards Monster and then work as a 4-man group over towards Western here, set up for, you know, your basic smokes and try for an A take at some stage.
This time the smoke actually betraying Summer. Bentet couldn't help him out. There's 2 smokes that he's planted in between with a bomb just next to him.
Has tucked himself around a corner, so if Bentet decides to retreat here, might get caught out. There we are. Now, within a chance here on the side of Avant, they've picked up 2 weapons up on Sterling. Maybe this is going to be what turns it around for them.
Oh, this is such a ballsy play, but I love it. With a minute left, somebody is getting the intel play. He's moving all the way around the back. He's going to try and have a look at Bathroom. Keep in mind, he does have an AWP. So if he catches them at the right time, he is going to be able to call for the rest of his team. There's the P250 and the bomb dropped. And he can also smoke himself into safety. This is wasting valuable time for Avant. They caught in 2 minds. Is he going to push? Is he going to peek from balloons, perhaps?
This is such a somebody move, actually, to walk through his own smoke. Yep. It's also bought time for Attacker to get onto the bomb site. Has been found out. It's an easy kill for somebody. Just he's hard to deal with, to put it mildly.
And that's why you compared him to Art, because that is the kind of play that Art would do, and it would win them the round single-handedly. Wow.
So, Avant, I mean, they get about as favorable trade as you can hope for, considering what they had invested into that round, putting it down to a 3v3. And actually, one of the few times they're not able to maintain map control, obviously because they don't have the weapons for it, that's when they get punished. And I guess that's always the thing that's in the back of their mind. I like it. Tyloo are so consistent with this, with how they're opening, even though they haven't pushed behind it too often. We've seen Bentet in Playground once, I think. And that's about it, but they're constantly throwing them altos, which gives them at least the option of going forward.
Yeah, they've seemingly been preferring to either have Summer peek from balloons or the fountain, or just stay in connector and have Bentet watch from bathrooms. But this is one of those rounds where they've just completely given it up. And Avant have had to use quite a bit of utility just to get into short side.
Oh.
Should be killed. There we go.
Easy going. Freeman, yeah, been having a rather quiet game so far, but to be fair, a lot of the action has been going on over towards A, and it's been all about Bentet and Summer. But at least you get the start that you want for Avant. 3rd time's the charm, maybe? APOC's waiting for somebody as well, not going to get the drop that he wants. A little bit eager to go for the kill there, only does a tiny bit of tag damage. I wouldn't put it past Soju to go aggressive. No, somebody to go aggressive again. Yeah, you could see him toying with the idea.
Bit concerned though. Avant had the bomb drop back in Playgrounds. They've just retrieved it. 30 seconds left. It comes back to another one of these moments where they're not going to be able to check all the angles. They're not going to be able to play cautiously because they've got to move forward. They've got to push on the site. That's going to be into the embracing arms of Summer. APOC Gonna find a stray Bentet. That has been finished off. The best chance that Avant have had falls upon them. They're gonna get the plant down, but can they repel somebody in attacker?
Has to be. If there's ever going to be an opportunity, this is the one. Flash comes over from attacker. It's a bad one, though. Doesn't really get them any sort of ground.
This has got to be it. Soju chips in for the first in this potential clutch, which is getting out of control, and somebody may just want to hold on to his AWP. I mean, they're in such a good position economically. You can see he's nearly at max money.
Yeah, there's no reason for him to say, okay, so a little bit fortunate, but at least they avoid the 15-0. But it feels a little bit labored. But you got to love the good spirits from Avant there, cheering as if they were pretty much about the hip map point.
You'd think after that celebration, it was them that were 12-1 in the lead, and everything was going their way. Not quite.
Got to keep spirits high. They've done that. Now it's all about the follow-up, though. The difficult task.
It's all good getting the one round, but you've got to build on this. 12-3 is the best possible outcome, which is still grim, of course, but let's give them a little bit to play with. A lot of this came off the back of the boosted kill onto Freeman. They're not going to fall for that again. Slightly different positions being assumed by Bentet and Summer. A bit more passive with Summer, just watching the cross to connector. There's a Molotov in his eyes, so he's going to have to peace out. Bentet's going to stay in position, though. Now, at this point, Summer can't have his back covered, so he has to make a choice whether he wants to stay in this angle and just gamble for the best once the smoke clears, because he's watching long. Somebody's peeking out of Monster at the same time, and he's seen a couple of pixels dart back and forward. Now Bentet's going to turn his attention elsewhere. That flashbang's not going to affect him, but the AK-47 will. Cracked in the head, and Avant have the player advantage with 35 seconds to go. And again, the bomb is heading towards A, although they do have connector control and a couple players in ramp. So, do have some choices to be made. 25 seconds now. Molotov to the back of barrels. Freeman's going to try and turn tail and see what he can do with the M4. Lands the dink, but not the kill. Somebody's going to take over. 15 seconds now. Can somebody ruin the party? Can he ruin the dream? He's doing damage. They have to get on the site, and there's kills left, right, and center, and Tai Lu have repelled the push. Avant, their own worst enemies.
Somebody gets away with daylight murder in that one. The fact that he's able to swing so high up from water there to find the people on short without getting punished immediately is everything. Attacker through the smoke to find two, and well, it was a short-lived burst of joy from Avant as they've been brought back to reality. 13-1 is the score for Tai Lu. You do get a buy-in at least for the very last round on Avant's side. No ops on Sterling, but well, not sure if it would make that much of a difference. It's been all about Tai Lu and especially the other operators as well. Summer and somebody have been doing such a good job of it so far. And get split up there. So equal trade to take down Bentet. And Avant just have to be happy about any sort of trade they can get.
They flash into peak. With Bentet being that up close in playground, they realize that Summer likely would be in a more aggressive angle. So it's a good read, but what can they do with it realistically? They have 3 smokes still at their disposal. Planning for a set play on either side.
Yeah, this is where you'd like to see APOC rotate all the way back, join them up, and then basically set up for NA execute as basic as you want. Smoke off Optimus, smoke off the staircase opening. Just go off of that. Have flashes rain in to deal with anyone, or do the top default box Molotov to force Freeman out of position, so you know there's not going to be anyone close up. Instead, they rotate off into the complete unknown. Somebody's just halfway affected by that flash, so he's going to find Soju as well. Molotov drops down. There's no way to run back for Haza. And it's all gone wrong.
They got so baited by APOC's position. He was outside Monster for the longest time, and I assume that he made the call. You can see them actually having a discussion right now.
So yeah, what did you hear?
Because whatever the call was, it was most certainly the wrong one. As was often the case, 14-1 the halftime scoreline. We're going to see if Avant can somehow bounce back into this first map. Avant with already 1 foot outside of our first map of Overpass, but maybe they can bring it back and roundhouse Tyloo. I'm not really holding my breath, Vendetta, because there wasn't much to play off for Avant. They had a couple of chances, and that was about it. It's not as if there was a bunch of clutches that went against them. They just got comprehensively outplayed.
Yeah, there's not really a whole lot more to say about it. That was just a dominant showing from Tyloo, and if you want to take any positives out of it, it's not going to be on the side of Avant. It's more to the fact that we're seeing Tyloo, I guess, play more up to the level that we expect out of them. Summer specifically, getting them off to an extremely hot start and just continued it on all the way through. 19-5 for him once the dust settles, and it's not like his teammates are that far behind either. Bentet, Attacker, and somebody all sitting around 15 frags. Only really Freeman that's had a bit of a rough go of it so far, but hasn't really been needed to be put into action to this point.
If I'm going to be really optimistic and positive, you'd say that Avant have typically been far stronger on their CT side of Overpass. Once Sterling can get an AWP, very good on the A side. He typically plays up close in the boxes. But they're going to have to get to that point first, of course, and if they lose this pistol, well, it's pretty much done. Couple nades, flash and smoke, a healthy dosage, and they're all stacking on the A side. They've got 2 players though, currently boosted over on Graffiti, and another one in Heaven. He has just started down. But they're giving up pretty much all the rest of the map, so now Bentet's going to have a quick look through Connector and find out it's clear. Joined by Summer.
Well, Summer's the one carrying the utility on this side of Tyloo as well. A smoke and 2 flashes. Might just be one for the A-bomb site. Let's try to rain on into it. Here it does have a pretty decent setup. You can see Sterling set up in the nade position that we saw yesterday from Avant as well. It's going to be so efficient here in a pistol round as well. So smokes come out, flashes do as well. The A lineup from APOC and Sterling, they're just going to wait for the bomb to be tapped. And away we go. And same result as always.
We saw this yesterday. Somebody with the Glock point blank range, the bomb has been planted amongst all the ruckus and the frenzy. It will be favoring Avant. Summer can't repel Hazard. 3 kills and Avant's second pistol. So maybe they can build into the economy after all.
Maybe. Fireworks have been set off as Avant raise their voices once again. Hot start for the Aussies and Kiwis. And again, I like the fact that they bring it back. They set up for the denial of the bomb plant. Creates a lot of chaos. I mean, Bentet even takes a pretty significant chunk of damage from that, just being near. It allows for you to be perfectly comfortable with giving up the bomb site and setting up for a retake if you can more or less guarantee it. Very well done.
Yeah, because a lot of terrorists, especially if you have all 5 players left, will be sat around the box watching the back of like bathroom in case the connector flank comes in. So you know you're getting at least 150 odd damage.
But again, denying the bomb plant means that you're not just taking one player out of the fight, but that means that somebody has to follow up to get a bomb plant down. So might be 4 players alive on the side of Tyloo, but one of them is going to be rendered incapable of actually shooting back. Well, force buy in, somebody with the AK, a whole lot of utility for Tyloo. Not even going to use this. They're just going to go off contact. APOC gets caught out. Rough scenario, and somebody's opened up the entirety of the B bomb site by himself.
Well, somebody is on fire. There's no 2 ways about it. He is playing such lights out Counter-Strike, and Avant getting hyped at winning the 2nd pistol. It's going to be eerily quiet over there once this round comes to its conclusion.
It's cool to see from Tyloo as well. You can see that they definitely had a plan around it as well. It's not somebody just having a feel for it. So while he's walking up and while he's firing off on towards APOC, you have a double nade coming in towards the toxic barrels, which again softens up the initial target for him. There you can see APOC gets caught out. But here you have nades flying over on the position of Soju to soften them up, making the job of somebody a little bit easier. It's very well done by Tyloo there.
I saw teamwork, but King entry fragger somebody. Meanwhile, Avant have to dip in, and their buy is just so very rough. It's 2 scouts and pistols. They've already lost APOC. Plenty of nade damage being inflicted, but not enough to take any casualties down. Sterling with a deagle. Summer's going to try and transition his spray. Sterling's still standing. Nearly gets the 3rd. But that's the map going to be concluded, and Tyloo putting an end to it fast. At least they showed mercy.
Yeah, that was brutal, but definitely just wanting to get on with their day and get into map 2 as quickly as possible, not getting any sort of hope at redemption, or at least any sort of good feeling for Avant. Still smiles, though, around their side. They kind of realized that we're outmatched in that scenario. But going into map 2, do you think it's going to be a bit of a change, or does the train just keep rolling for Tyloo? I feel like that was such a just dominant display on an individual point of view that I don't see Avant being able to fight back into this.
No, but I've got to be optimistic, you know, from a neutral's perspective, and hope that they can. Hope that we have some big performances from the likes of Sterling. But, you know, we touched on this. They start on the T side. They didn't have anybody step up. Didn't have anybody, like, lead the charge.
Yeah.
It was just really flat.
It really, really was. And, I mean, well, we saw what we saw, and we can only break that down so far. But the really deep digging is going to happen over at the desk. So, guys, take it away.
Avant, more like Avant going to grab many rounds. That's what I'm looking at right now. Tyloo really giving him the business right there, and that was looking pretty bleak in the first half, guys. Not even going to try to break it down. I'd give you a locker room speech just to try to make it sound better, look better, feel better, but that was rough for fans of Avant.
Yeah, that was a beating, yeah?
It was uncomfortable. You ever seen a cat play with a fly? You know, the cat is like, it has a fly under the paw, and then it's like, I'm just gonna let you fly a little bit. Oh, here you come back in here. Or you fly a little bit, and then you're dead again.
I think that cat actually gave more chances to that fly than Tyloo did.
You think so? Yeah. I think it's exactly what it was. It just ate it at the end, and that's it.
Even more fun when you have like the laser pointer and you kind of just like
toy with the cat. Yeah.
But even in this situation, I couldn't even quite possibly tie in the fact that Tyloo ran over Avant. Like, there was just nothing there to be had. You could just see the confidence and poise Tyloo was playing with. They knew that they were the better team coming into the server, and it displayed.
This is the first time I'm seeing this, the Tyloo that we all expected, right? With the addition of Freeman, the firepower that he adds in, and the way everyone was just popping up. Summer, the in-game leader, just leading by example. Benta just towards T-spawn with a minute on the clock so many times. Somebody with that op doing what he does best. And of course, even on the T side, they lost a pistol round. And then somebody with that one hero AK-47, 3K in the B bomb site. And the game was done just like that.
Yeah, they were overmatched individually and tactically. I mean, on the side of Tyloo, if you want to look at the positive, there were tons of it. I think that they were very, very good at applying pressure early on, grabbing every little bit of inch of map control they could have, they would take it. And if they got the first fight, they would just retract and they play defensively. So that was a beautiful, beautiful game from Tyloo. Was it any resistance? Maybe not, but they played the game they had to.
Yeah, and just to add on to that as well, even when they're playing from the sides, when they gave up a little bit of map control, the way the crossfires are set up, it wasn't one-dimensional. They timed it to perfection, and I kind of felt like Avant they got intimidated early on. They were beaten down, and you never got the confidence going.
I mean, do you think that that's going to play into the fact that, okay, they've got 2 rounds. How do they get the 2 rounds to begin with? Is this sort of like a oopsie?
Well, Hazard again pulling
pistol.
off a 3K with a pistol round, and then the other one, I felt like Tyloo kind of overextended a little bit too much.
Once you reach the 11-0 threshold, there's going to be a round where you just lift your foot off the pedal a little bit and you just relax, maybe unfocused, maybe communication lacks a little bit, and then you lose that round. But overall, it was complete and utter domination.
Utter domination. It is summertime here in Berlin. It's very hot outside, a heat wave. Don't say that around Mr. Birchill, he'll get mad. But summer here on fire. We can talk about the next map coming up as well, because, well, this one's not Avant's pick. It's Tyloo's pick. And I'm not convinced that this is going to go any better for the side of Avant. But you know what? We have to remain neutral. We have to remain somewhat right here to deliver you a show. So guys, tell me why this could be any different.
You take that one.
Okay, even if you look at it neutrally, just look at the competition they have. They've only played this map 4 times in the past 3 months, have lost each and every one of those maps, and then of course for Tyloo, yeah, they had a couple of losses, but then you see a Team Liquid there in one of those losses, you really can't read too much into it. That being said, Tyloo's CD side yesterday against, day before yesterday, I'm sorry, against FFA Mix was a little shaky, that B-bomb side especially. So for Avant, if they want to make this work, they need to try and abuse that fact. However, the way Tyloo are running right now, it could be a problem, Trace.
I agree. It's almost a scenario where if Tyloo doesn't slow down, that's it. It's done. There's no way around it. That's going to be a 16-3 as well. Tyloo, back it up, back it in.
Pack it up, pack it in. Where should I even begin? We're going to have to go to another map here. Right after this break, we're going to Mirage. Ladies and gentlemen, might want to have you press F in chat and or a moment of silence, because that was a brutal beating that no one deserved to see. No one deserved to receive it. However, we do have to go to a break. When we come back, Mirage is on the cards. Avant versus Tyloo. Don't go anywhere.
Oh my god! He turns it around! Oh my goodness! Incredible kills coming up. This is unbelievable. Simple. Oh, he's doing it as well. 5 seconds.
Change of range.
Charge up your game with excitement. Highest odds on the market. Coverage of all live and pre-match events. Place your bets with Solid Bookmaker and win with your favorite teams. Take what's rightfully yours with GG.bet.
Predict the outcome, win the game. Get live coverage and schedules for your favorite tournaments. Analyze, predict, and vote to gain points. Compete with other esports fans and climb the leaderboards. Strafe, everything esports. Download now on iOS.
We are back with our second map of the best of 3 between Tyloo and Avant. It's going to be Mirage. After a battering, a bruising, definitely some ego is going to be put to the side from Avant. Although, to be fair, they seem like a pretty chill bunch of players. I doubt there's much ego to go around. But 16-2 was the first map score. And now Mirage, the choice of Avant. I don't necessarily see things boding too much better, especially considering just how much they got ravaged and destroyed on that first map of Overpass. But, I mean, Ben, can you cast some optimism here? Because I know I'm sounding pretty pessimistic.
You chose the right person to come to, right? For optimism and you know, sunshine and rainbows. We left it at a bit of a gloomy note, but I think we just have to be realists about it, right? And the fact is that Tyloo outmatched Avant in every single facet of the game from what we saw in the first map. Again, you can have all the strategies in the world that you want, but if you're so heavily outmatched on an individual basis, you're not going to get far. You might have the greatest executions, you might get bomb plants down every single round, but if you're not able to win out the trades with stand a retake or what have you, then you will end up losing, and it will look pretty ugly as well. And I feel like that's the kind of territory we find themselves in. Again, we were a little bit disappointed in just in terms of individual prowess that we saw out of Avant, because we've seen better in the earlier days of the minor. So there might be a bit of a change up there, and I guess Mirage could be a bit of an easier just map to get rounds on. It's not necessarily more leaning towards the CT side or T side as much as Overpass, but remains to be seen.
But I'd say, unfortunately, I think Avant are the kind of team that's more lean towards the CT side. Now, we saw this smoke be deployed from other Australians in the form of Dick Stacey and Malta. It's not going to help out Avant for the time being. It's only Sterling that's chipped in with a kill, and he's been dealt with, swept away from attackers' Glock. There's so many terrorists. They're swarming on the site. And Jira, the last line of defense, can't last too much longer. Summer with 2, Tyloo with 1 in the second map.
Well then, if that's any indication of how things are about to pan out, it's a bit of a rough outlook for Avant. As you said, yeah, we see the same kind of recipe on the B bomb side, dropping the smoke down in the corner. Doesn't actually help him out in the same kind of fashion we've seen in the past. I think it was somebody who was able to appear on top of the car and swiftly deal with him, as he wasn't able to get quite back into the corner and tuck himself away, set up for a crossfire. Smoke out. Random tag through the smoke is going to land for Sterling, so damage done.
Problem is they can't really jump on top of that damage. They're throwing some grenades in. Somebody's been dropped to 1 HP.
Yep.
Now that's pretty significant because he had a Molotov and a flash. He's going to toss that out just on the off chance another nade finds its way to him. So get rid of that utility before it's wasted.
Let's see if he actually is sent in first as a bit of a information gatherer or not. For now, though, he's gone back to T-spawn, and it seems like he's going to have some teammates joining him as well. Bomb retreats out of mid. So a whole lot of bullets and nades exchanged, but at the end of the day, Tyloo's looking pretty all right for this. Soju with a smoke left, and that's the only utility they have on their side. He's going to drop that pretty much the same spot we saw in the pistol round if there is any sort of action towards B, but Bomb is moving towards A for Tyloo, and they still have the nades here to set up for a decent push. 2 Molotovs, 2 smokes, and a whole bunch of flashes. Somebody's going to be the sacrificial lamb over towards B with this one flash. Actually, yeah, it doesn't commit on it, but I don't think you can really sell a bomb site take with a single flash and no footsteps.
No, that is the problem. You almost feel like he may have to rush out there. He's going to go into underpass instead, or maybe look for a flank. There was a couple of moments where Avant had the right crosshair placement, but not quite able to capitalize. APOC drills a Deagle headshot. They're going to go for a very risky plant, considering there's no smoke on the connector side, but they're going to get away with it. And with the plant, the round should follow, albeit on somebody on 1 HP still, and Bentep below 50%. This is where the rotation from somebody is going to come into fruition. They're just going to try and stall and stymie this push back into the Mac 10, can start to rip through some backsides from the Australians and New Zealanders. Freeman's going to try and hold on with the Galil, gets instant headshot round the corner. Now somebody's going to show his hand, and there come the kills. But I've got to say, Avant, that's a solid effort considering how out-firepowered they were.
Absolutely, and it seemed like, I guess they're given that opportunity because, as you mentioned, the fact that Tyloo just wants to wait, bide their time for somebody to get into position, that they don't really stem them from pushing forward. They never really run into a position or into resistance or any sort of resistance early on. So you get the forward positionings that allow them to corner the Tyloo players. But I think at the end of the day, Tyloo felt pretty safe about winning out that round regardless. Needs to go into window. Not going to do anything to APOC, but as he peers in, he's able to find at least one connection. And again, it's going to be somebody to take the brunt of the damage. But opening kill goes the way of Tyloo.
There's a stack on B. Summer hasn't spotted any other soul. They seem to have read the situation anyway.
Yeah. Clearing out that A bomb site. Also finding APOC moving out of kitchen, so they're safe to assume that there's going to be a whole lot more coming in from that B bomb site.
They can just stay in position. I know it's a minimal investment. No one came through with Kevlar. Just a P250 in the hands of Jira, and he's now just been swatted away courtesy of Summers Galil. So the question now is, are we going to see any casualties on Tyloo? And the answer is a resounding no.
Might find some, though, in the upcoming round, as we will have a buy coming in from Avant. They're going to have to get on the board early, it feels like. Again, we saw Overpass running away from them in such a dominant fashion. Now, at least, they don't have to run into potential double ops setups. They have the freedom of being able to sit back and await any sort of move from Tyloo, more so than having to try to find and scope out a solution for themselves. Might make the task a little bit more accomplishable. Timing's just not favoring Hazard on that one. Jura luckily there to respond, but it's just all-out action on every part of the map. And Benten's found 2 on 8.
And Tyloo consistently just edging ahead when it comes to these trades. And it stacks up, especially on the CT side, because you're keeping the economy in such a bad, dire shape. Soju, he's the clutch master on the side of Avant, but this may be too tall of a task for him. Flashbangs in his face. His teammate's gone down. We have seen him pick up some 1v3s already. Does hefty damage, but no kill behind it.
So 100% in the 1v1s, but a 1v3 is too much to ask for. Tyloo continue their winning ways. You have to feel it's only going to go from bad to worse for Avant, as they're going to have to go back to pistols. They didn't really have the time to find any sort of footing in that one. Early trades on Catwalk, and while that's going on and you're trying to adjust for that, Bentet running up on the A bomb site, just decimating everything.
Yeah, doing a really good job as well with their utility of neutralizing crossfires. You're noticing that there's not a lot of revenge kills coming to fruition for Avant, even with the rifles. Apoc's perched up on the balcony. They're nearly getting each other's way. Some damage has been inflicted, but nothing's really going to stick too bad. Now we're starting to see the dynamic shifting, maybe back towards Avant, but living on low HP is never going to be a worthwhile endeavor on the staircase. Bentet with one, spots the last player. Let's come out worse for wear. So Avant making this costly, but it's pretty unlikely that Soju can get it done with a CZ at CT boxes.
Yeah, Tyloo right now, because they're winning so many rounds in a row, even though they are taking, as you said, a couple of casualties here and there, their money should be perfectly fine to rebuy whenever Avant do actually find their way to the scoreboard. As you can see, 5K on Summer, 3.7 on Freeman, post-buy, 6-1 Bentet, 8K on somebody, and Attacker actually being the only player really in any sort of a rough spot. Double ops, it's going to be the go-to move from Avant here. I guess this might be a bit of an unexpected move for Tyloo's end. Usually you need a lot of utility to be able to deal with that kind of stuff. A defense, though, is weirdly set up. CT spawn completely negated.
It's worked out, though. Maybe that unorthodox approach is what catches Tyloo off guard.
Then wanting to go off of contact doesn't really pan out when there's so many eyes peered out. You can imagine if it's just a standard A take, and you have a jungle smoke, and you have one for, I guess, connector / jungle. Two of those players have no real way of having an impact.
I guess they did get contact, but it was just bullets to their heads. It's not really the contact they're looking for. Somebody could have maybe got 2 kills out of that with Hazard being low. But Avant on the scoreboard. This time they get there a little bit earlier.
Much needed as well. Now then, can they string rounds together? We talked about the CT side potentially being easier for them to deal with instead of having to constantly try to find holes in the defense of Tyloo. Now they get to sit back and respond to what Tyloo is throwing at them. Still need to win multiple rounds in a row here to solidify their economy, and that's really where the tricky part comes in. Jira goes for a random timing shot. Not going to be as lucky as Sterling was with the scout earlier on. So both of the Tyloo players make it into top mid safely.
On an underpass too, which is starting to make a move up. That is somebody. Ventet, Palace, Summit, Ramp. So they have plenty of angles at their disposal. It's not going to be a one-pronged hit when they do make a decision. The bomb is top of mid, however, which could be an issue if Avant can get the trades going their way up here.
There's somebody moving back into underpass as well. Okay, now he's going to swing back towards mid again. Could have been the cheeky catwalk or connector plant with somebody being the late rotation through B apps once everyone's vacated the B area. Now he's going to move up the stairs again. So he's going to throw out his utility to see if he can actually keep 2 of the players on the B bomb site. So late rotations are going to be a bit of an issue for them.
2 incendiaries remain, but only the 1 smoke. Avant still have plenty of time to waste away, 30 seconds. But Tyloo, if they don't get a move on through connector, it could prove to be an enemy.
The setup is working out really nicely for Avant as well.
They must surely know at this stage of this time there's going to be an A hit. That's the bomb in first. Hazard and APOC pivot in for 3 kills. That's the round being laid to rest with authority. Much better.
That was nice and easy, just having a really good read as to what they were expecting there, doubling up on connector. Not finding anything at all, especially because there was nothing really in the ways of covering off catwalk either. So when you're Tyloo moving up towards that, you're dealing with about 4 different angles. You need to find just immediate headshots for that to work out. As you can see, APOC has it working their way from connector, and then you had Soju chiming in, being a distraction from catwalk in addition to all of that. Well done on them, and for how much utility Tyloo had, they really didn't amount anything with it. Just kind of re-molotoving and re-smoking the same positions without having any sort of purpose behind it, seemingly. Bit of an odd one. Avant get to keep their double op setup going, though, so feel pretty happy about the situation.
The 2 rounds that Avant have now claimed for themselves have been on the A side. I wonder if Tyloo are going to read into that and try some kind of a B hit and see if that's a weakness. It does seem to me, though, Ven, even going back to the Americas minor, that most teams in these minors have vastly preferred B.
Yeah, and a bit of a, I guess, strange turn of events, right?
Yeah.
Because B was normally the site where you put a player, on the CT side, you might get some action on the pistol round, and outside of that, you just have the 1 lurker, and that's pretty much the only action you're going to see. You're spending most of your days rotating over towards A. But yeah, definitely seen a proficiency or a newfound love for that B bomb site. And to be fair, it's been pretty damn efficient, I feel like, for a lot of the teams as well. Even with the smoke that we're seeing the CTs put down, so many solid executes that you can do in pretty safe areas as well. You're not really forcing your way into an area where there's oftentimes going to be CTs. You're being able to set up unforced smokes and whatnot. So it makes sense. And again, Tyloo early on setting a fair bit of presence over towards A could open up a new avenue for them where you're not going to see the quick rotation being able to come from mid because they're focusing more on having the mid player, being around the jungle area, potentially shoring up the A side defense or helping out towards connector because that's where the main pressure points have been early on, which allows you to pretty much have a 2v5 set up every time you go towards B.
Well, B isn't going to be the target for this round at the very least. Maybe when they have the rifles on their backs. With pistols, going to be making A the Wild West, or at least they're hoping so. That Hazard and APOC be able to bring some law and order, or have they? Attacker and Bentet going to make this a bit more costly than they were hoping for. Somebody's going to get the drop onto Sterling, can spin around, and the smoke actually benefits him.
How is this working out for him?
He's got an AWP as well in his hands now. Avant have let this one get way too close.
I'm really curious as to why Soju wanted to creep into that smoke. Somebody's gone back into it. This is just, all right.
My goodness.
That's just somebody in a nutshell, isn't it? So you jump through the smoke. I guess that felt like the only opportunity he had once he got smoked off. He knew that was somebody pretty aggressively on catwalk to potentially spam his corner. The fact that he jumps back in after finding it off.
I'm just confused how he got into connector, because there's a player short that surely heard him.
And the player well, he got in there, I guess, before the player on short got into a position to spot him. It's just, yeah, no, it was a bit of a wild one.
I feel like it's one of those rounds you'd have to watch in slow motion multiple times to fully understand what happened in its entirety.
Yeah.
There was just so much going on. But what we know the result is, it's 6-2, and Avant now have put all their money on the table. It's not a fantastic buy. They've got enough firepower, though, to run side by side with Tyloo, who are now opting for more of a B-centric hit with some mid-presence. So they can send a couple players through on short if they want to try and make this a multi-angled push.
Soju with an MP9 down to 40 HP. He's going to have a real rough time, even if he does have backup.
Yeah, and when you consider that the two B defenders only have a flashbang between the two of them, they don't have that smoke they've been loving to throw down. They don't have an incendiary either. Just one flash.
Oh. Yep, Soju needs to have a miracle work out for him. He finds the first one at the very least, and push actually stops. He's going to do solid damage onto Summer as well. Nobody's able to find the connection onto him. Keep in mind, he was on 40 HP before that push started. Well, that was meant to be a whole lot easier for Tyloo. Instead, they're going to be sent packing. Bombs dropped on top of the balcony, so likelihood of them retrieving it is not that high. Summer is taken up by Hazza as well. So all you can do for attacker is try to hold on to that AK, and that was a shutdown and a half, and not a very likely one either.
I can't wrap my head around the fact that Soju survived.
Yeah. Even with like doing the wide swing, it's not like he fell back into an angle, or, you know, once the Molotov is dissipated behind him, that's the route he's gone. He actually just wide swings past two Tyloo players, and they're, yeah, not able to find a single connection. It's happy days for Avant, though. I mean, they needed that. A bit of a bounce back after losing to the pistols of Tyloo.
The attacker is in some seriously fine form. It's not been somebody or some or Bentet this time.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised we haven't seen more out of Freeman, too. Just considering what kind of form he displayed with Vici, what we know he can do. In Overpass, I guess he wasn't called to action a whole lot at the time, but you'd imagine that T-side Mirage should be a bit of a haven for him.
Yeah, he was playing B-side on Overpass, which they got rarely punctured on that side of the map. It was mainly through mid, and it was Summer and Bentet just constantly being a pain in the backside. It is sometimes the nightmare of, you know, playing on the B side, especially on Mirage, actually. If they don't push it at all, you're not really going to get that much action unless you're retaking A.
It actually affects your play just in general as well, right? Because you're idle and you're not really in tune with what's going on. So when you have to rotate over, it just makes it harder to get a feel for what's going on and getting into your groove.
It's hard to keep warm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Literally,
sure.
as weird as it sounds, you know, warming up and staying in the zone, it's a very real thing. Mid control has once again been given to Tyloo. Issue for them is that they haven't been able to do too much off of it a lot of the time. But again, it's that double op setup that allows Avant to kind of play this way. They don't necessarily need to see if they find picks early on in mid. Being able to work with the distances from Ticket Box and B-Apps is going to be plenty.
Same problem they ran into before, though, with letting time dwindle away so much. Jira locking down the site. Haz is going to bolster him up. 1v3, 15 seconds Bentet's found the first. He's going to get peeked from short, though. Apoc's low, but he's going to have him dead to rights. Oh, my.
Got a little bit close.
Just for a second there, I got scared for Apoc.
Yeah. Being on 13 HP, swinging, not finding the immediate kill on a guy's sitting still planning. But they do survive the scare. That's the most important part. Again, the ops are having impact. That's good news for Avant as they go back to it once more.
2 Deegs and a smoke. Avant, though, have conceded rounds like this quite a few times over the duration of the minors. You can't take this for granted. The 1 smoke, going to be interesting to see where it gets deployed, if it's going to be on the likes of maybe jungle or staircase and try and funnel through. They're not going for a waterfall play.
Straight up going on contact. Nade does.
Oh, that grenade. That's about 200 damage.
Gonna get the follow-up on it, though. He's taking a lot of damage through the smokes, down to 20 himself. So far, though, seems like the CTs have held on.
Can Summer land any more Deegs? No is the answer. And now it's down to Freeman. Hey, fair enough. Glock headshot. I'll take that.
But Avant showing a much better side of themselves here on Mirage. 5 rounds. And the first half alone. What a treat.
Must feel good after being completely manhandled on Overpass.
Absolutely. Has a showcasing more, I guess, to what we've been accustomed to see out of him.
But I think this also goes back to what we were talking about, where I do genuinely think that Avant are just a far better CT side than the RTs.
That is fair.
They rely too much on individual effort on the T side.
You talked about it as well, how we've seen consistently much better showings on the CT side of Sterling and how much of an impact he has on the team, right? If he's not going to be able to find his groove on the T side, obviously that's going to take a pretty hefty chunk out of the artillery and firepower that you have to bring to the side. But we do know that he can kind of make up for it on the CT side, though.
And especially in a map like Mirage, where, sure, if you get a good spawn for mid, you can maybe get there slightly before the opposition AWP and have a duel down there. But elsewhere, you've got to be aggressive with the AWP. That's where maybe Sterling will run into some roadblocks. Maybe Avant will slow down. That's what Tyler are going to be hoping for.
Somebody just playing on the corner of the smoke here. See how long he stays put. He gets put into the ground, but there's a trade-in. Summer finds Apoc, and Bomb's going to go down. Smoke dissipates. Woo, but actually gets planted just in time before Sterling finds the connection.
Plant going down is significant too. They've got 2 players on the ramp side, and Bentet may think about rotating round the back towards short, but these flashbangs and the aggression has made him think better of that. He knows his team need him in position right now. Attacker's gone down too. Bentet's been smoked out. This would be a phenomenal clutch if he could pull it off. He did have the lineup, but just the spray of the SG let him down, and also there's a bodyguard player in the front. That's, I was going to say that's how close Bentet was to getting a couple kills, but I'd be lying.
It looked like he was onto something, for sure. But yeah, the Bentet spray control with the Krieg, not really what you sought after in that situation.
I just can't get used to the Krieg, man.
It's hard, right? Like the spray pattern is so vastly different from what you're used to with the AK.
It's like down and to the left pretty hard, I think.
It's just that muscle memory, right? That doesn't really do much for you. Okay, Sterling's going to mess up the smoke, so still has to worry about a Molotov or connector. Not going to be the case, though. Apoc, ooh, gets stuck as he tries to flee.
The youngster of Hazard. He's lighting up the scoreboard once again. Sterling did connect, but I think it was a leg shot. Solid shot around this time on Freeman. And Jira's also joined the charge. Player on Tetris, isolated from his teammate of somebody who's still in mid. Flashing to peek, yields the kill.
It's a really bad flash, though. Has to be said. End result was the same. Somebody left in a 1v2. Problem, I guess, is Bomb's nowhere near him. He has the time to play with, though.
Time maybe to get round the back of one of these CTs and get 2 separate 1v1s.
Oh, I think Soji heard that. Oh, okay. Yeah, no. Decides to not take the fight. That puts Jira in a bit of an awkward spot, but he's ready to handle whatever's thrown his way. Showed you wanted no business of that. Normally, you relish at the chance of having people come through murder hole.
Yeah, I think it was kind of unfortunate. I think he may have heard him, went for the shoulder peek at that very moment, spots the player, and then he tried to throw smoke into jungle. As, of course, Jira goes for the push.
Yeah.
You can see it here, just plumes after Jira gets the kill. So it was a couple of very close potential errors that still went the way of Avant. They're going to take the lead for the first time, I believe.
Yeah. First time of this series, and Jira with aggressive. Now it's Avant feeling confident running about the map. Tyloo really just fallen flat here towards the tail end of the first half. Soju not really sure what's going on. A lot of flashes that he has to dodge. Actually, will get taken down without finding a kill. Somebody's got to follow that up as well. Now he's grabbed. Well, he doesn't get his hands on that AWP. He's going to back out from kitchen. They have an SG on attacker. Pot shots through the smoke lands onto Jira.
Just CZ things, but it looks like some justice is being returned. Nice attempt from Jira to spin around and hold on. Bentet's still in this one. P250. He's going to try and play up on the perch and force Hazard into the open. But the SG will reign supreme over the P250, and a 2-round lead opens up 8-6.
It's been quite the run here. Looking at it for Avant. Keep in mind, they were really struggling at the start. It was a 5-0 opening. 6-2 was where Tyloo found themselves before we had this streak of rounds from Avant.
Yeah, Tyloo certainly slowing down somewhat, but also you got to give credit to Avant because they've really stood it up, especially from the likes of Jira and APOC. I mean, APOC's been playing CS since before some people even watching this were born.
Yeah.
He's been around for so long in this scene. It's good to see him still fragging out. Jira, though, is going to go down first.
Old man Counter-Strike is still a thing. And finally, Tyloo have something going their way for the first time in quite a while. It's not a trade. It's not taking significant damage, just a straight-up opener. Mid control gained. That said, their T-side hasn't really been too inspiring in terms of what they've been able to accomplish with mid control given to them. We'll see if the change go actually finding a man advantage is going to do that for them. That's a great response from somebody as well.
Sterling betrayed by the slight movement. His crosshair looked like it should have been almost sent to mass, but he just moved beforehand. Hazard. Oh, the timing was so unfortunate.
Yep.
Maybe not required because Soju is in a pretty good position. With the Orc, the spray nearly with 3 does connect with the Deagle. Nice try. But it's going to be 8-7, one of the closest halftime scores that we've actually had.
We've had a lot of one-sided games,
we really have.
This feels out of the norm for us. Not really sure what to make of it, but great to see Avant showing a different side of themselves. And I guess if you want to go back to the first map and how they looked, once it all, the dust settled, it's 16, well, it's a domination. That's really what you're looking at. It still smiles on their faces, right? They're not fussed about it. They weren't thinking to themselves like, well, I guess we're just going home now. And I think that's what's being able to bring that kind of mindset into this one.
Welcome back, Avant, with a much better showing on Mirage. 8-7, but they're now going to be switching on the T side, which has been an issue. It has been a struggle. Tyloo started very hot. We were fearing the worst, a repeat performance of Overpass, but credit to the Australian-based team for coming back and showing a lot of grit.
Absolutely so, and that's one of the things they did show earlier on as well. They've definitely been in this scenario earlier in the minors where they've gotten off to a bit of a rocky path, being able to battle back. BO3 series versus 5 power being fresh in mind as well. It was good to see, though. We'll see if it continues on, as you said. There's been struggles. Sterling not necessarily finding his stride with that op on the T side, and obviously that's going to be an issue for them. Molotov comes into window. Summer has to vacate his position. Some ground gained here for the T side.
Attacker took a bit of a love tap as well. It's going to be down to him to try and fend off.
Ooh,
Headshot
Freeman.
point blank range. Freeman doing decent work. He's been pretty quiet over this best of 3.
Really has.
Would this be his moment to shine, or will maybe somebody come and steal the spotlight from underneath him? USP. No P250s in play for Tyloo off the corpses of Avant as Jira, who does typically pick up all of the utility. As the bomb does get planted, somebody through the smoke is going to be able to pierce the head of Jira, but instantly counteracted. And now it's Freeman on 10 HP. This would be one hell of a clutch if he could pull it off. APOC is moving in the perfect timing, but finally it's going to betray him.
But that Freeman doesn't have a diffuse kit is a bit of an issue here. He needs to go hunting, so I'm liking this move. But with 10 HP, it becomes an incredibly difficult task to actually follow through on. So Vaughn pick up the pistol. Feeling pretty good about themselves right now. Even if they have had a couple of issues on their T side, getting a pistol should get you off to a really good start. I just love the fact when we see the initial move from somebody through the smoke there, he's just immediately pre-firing before he even comes out of the smoke on that corner. Someone managed to just actually find the guy towards firebox, but he's just so used to making these kind of plays and knowing what kind of angles he needs to pre-fire that even if inside a smoke, he finds the way.
Yeah, and when you're a player behind in pistol rounds, sometimes going for them preemptive shots and whoever swings first will come out ahead. So it's worth rolling the dice and going for the gamble. Huge 4K, by the way, for Sterling. Do the world good to his confidence. He's already picked up an SG off the back of that one. Plenty of SMGs, though, on the Tyloo squad. Only a CZ for Summer, but everybody else coming through, brimming with bullets. To stack towards the B side, they have found Jira, but the bomb still going to go down all the same. Sterling fending off on Connector. Summer's also been found, and Freeman is going to go the same way. So Tyloo got the first kill, but everything else has been stacked against them.
I'm just going to hop back here and hold on to their Kevlar and weaponry. Those kind of SMG-heavy force buys always feel a bit weird to me. I think you're better off with pistols, actually, in a lot of the scenarios. Just because you know you're going up against armored targets, so you need to find headshots. Deagles are going to do a whole lot more for you than having to blast a guy with 3 MP9 headshots or something to that effect. You're not going to get that much time to really blast off, to get off shots, right? So the immediate impact seems like something you want to at least be in your favor.
Plus, of course, they're just a whole lot cheaper. I mean,
yeah,
the UMPs and the MP9s, it does cost a pretty penny when you've just lost the first round.
You can add in some utility behind it. Maybe you set up for pop flashes. Maybe you have nade stack. A lot of things that can be worthwhile investing into when you get the extra bit of cash from just the pistols. Nonetheless, though, Avant do a good job of holding off the pressure, at least early on here from Tyloo's side.
Well, speaking of SMGs, there's going to be 2 facing off against each other if APOC continues to press forward. Attacker, MP9 in hand up on the balcony. Bentet's using the UMP by himself on B site. Oh, it is 1 HP that separates APOC and his early demise. That's more players that Tyloo have to fend off against somebody at the back of triple box. It's a well-played flashbang.
Oh.
He switched too early. He assumed he had the kill with the headshot. And wouldn't you know it, Soju then chips in for a second. He's going to be finished off, but Jira on the backside, going to strike onto Summer. We've all been there, Ven. You assume you got the kill, you're looking for the second target, and you realize, oh, no, I'm actually just dead. Brilliant.
I've done myself in. It's in a fair few of those. I'm trying to think back to the Americas minors. There's one player who constantly got into situations like that.
Oh, it was one of the Brazilian teams.
Yeah. Curious if it wasn't Sharks, if it was, could have been RCF?
I think it was RCF or Leo.
Yeah.
Leo Drunky springs to mind.
Continuously having issues with doing 90+ damage on people, thinking he's done the job, and then having to swing back and not always finding the success he needed. Nonetheless, though, back into buy round we go for Tyloo. Initial grenade is actually not going to do a whole lot. It's going to be the shots from Bentet to bring out the first kill.
Somebody with multiple targets facing off against him. Solid grenade by Summer. Backside of the van. And Soju gets splattered against the wall. Somebody stands tall against Sterling. Apoc's given his position away and will be giving his life too. So Tyloo going to bring it back to a 3-round deficit, only losing to one player. Good news for them.
Absolutely so. And I don't think, it didn't feel like that B-bomb side defense was that great on the side of Tyloo either. Bentet gets the first opening, but it gets traded. And you have the remaining bomb side player not really in a position to do a whole lot. Somebody's just kind of juking for position. It's more down to the fact that Summer's Molotov and HE onto Soju down by Car alleviates a lot of pressure, and Avant weren't really able to follow through on what they started.
So this is really where I'm very interested and curious to see what happens next, because Tyloo have stabilized. They've got M4s, they've got grenades.
Yep.
Avant have stumbled and they've struggled on their T-halves. They need somebody to crack open sights. They need an entry fragger. Who is up to the task, if anybody?
That is going to be the big question. We've seen APOC have tons of impact in multiple of their games. Might be on the veteran to get them going, or potentially have Sterling posted up and fortunately finding a Tyloo player wearing into his crosshairs, but he's not the kind of player to at least get around corners to see if he can find openings.
Well, it's a good trade. Jira straight through into the heart of Connector. The bullet's going to be connecting onto his head, and Sterling may be the last piece of the puzzle as APOC has been sent sprawling out of the round. M4 headshot. That flash, not really what he was looking for.
It was like midway through, I figured I was like, nope, this is not where I want to go. Just couldn't make it back in time.
I regret everything.
Yep.
There's 3 players spraying at him.
You can swing back the old mean of it, just screenshotting that position. He was like, it was at that point Sterling realized. 9 rounds for Tyloo, getting closer to double figures. Very likely to do so as well, looking at the buy from the T's. Just pistol purchased up, flash, and smoke. I'm just going to hope that they can find a bomb plant in this one to shore up their buy in the following round. Might be the waterfall drop coming in here shortly. Summer with an op in play. You saw him doing a lot of work with that on Overpass. Had a bit of more of a quiet start to Mirage, but see if this turns. Bomb dropped.
Could still pick it up. Oh, that spray transfer from Freeman was spicy. They're going to be able to get the plants.
Yeah.
So that is mission accomplished. That is what Avant were looking for.
They actually get the bomb plant without smoking off CT spawn. With Summer there with an op the entire time. Outland. Good news for the T's. They're going to get that much of a better buy as a result of it. But Tyloo seemingly, as you said, have stabilized a little bit here on their CT side. They've got the utility, they've got the bits and bobs they need to set up proper defenses. Well, then this could be where Tyloo bring it all back and close out. Keep in mind they did win Overpass, which was the map pick of Avant.
They most certainly did, and in style at that. This has been far closer affair, back and forth throughout. Avant have given a good showing of themselves, but again, now that they're on the T side, we need to see if they have the backbone that we're looking for. Smoke into window room, going to afford Jira the opportunity to try and push into connector, but there is a return smoke from the CTs to block him.
Again, sandwich spot being utilized by Tyloo 2 on their defense. Worked out pretty damn well for Avant whenever we saw them tucked away in the corner. Didn't actually see too many Molotovs being thrown in there. There's plenty of that, though, on the side of the T's. Summer wants to get a forward position behind Firebox, and that's going to be the end of him as well. Now a lot of pressure on Attacker and Freeman.
Passing so far. That Molotov is going to be the end of Freeman. Even if he gets the smoke down, he's going to get sprayed and blasted through there. Surprised he even got another kill for his troubles. But Bentet with the off angle trying to push through onto connector side is going to meet a very solid Sterling, who just bats him away with the AWP.
Felt like the most hopeful attempt to actually extinguish that smoke in a scenario when you know they're coming up connector, you know you've lost any sort of defense initially to kind of hold them from pushing onto your angle.
Yeah, I was a bit confused as to why someone went for the peak. I mean, I understand you want the information, but you've got two teammates in very good positions on A side. All you need to do is survive, and you're in pretty decent standing.
Yeah. Luckily for them, though, with the rounds gathered in a row and not taking that many casualties on the way, they're going to be able to rebuy, and it's going to be the double ops. This is where they really started to lay the pain on Overpass. And I mean, if we're going to go back to the CT side as well of Avant, once they got double ops, things started to shift for them as well.
It's true, and I think some of that is highlighted in the fact that Avant aren't the most aggressive, explosive, fast terrorist side. They do like to play it slow and steady, and that's where the AWPs really do shine. So maybe once they realize that two AWPs are in play, we're going to see them shift up the tempo and play a bit more aggro.
If you have double ops set up, right, going back to the beloved B-bomb set, as we've seen in the minors, that might be the player. Retake's not too easy with an op over from the A-bomb set, and dealing with a lot of utility as a B-bomb set defender on an op is just tough.
Just really only get one crack at it. They're not going to check the tight angle. It's the bomb.
Oh, no.
The bomb's up in apps while the rest of the team is trying to shimmy on the site. Somebody is doing so much work. So Sterling now is, well, he's actually on the other side of the map. What a strange call.
A lurk op. Bomb's still, over in B-app, so he needs to get a move on. Actually, he's going to opt for catwalk here, so he's looking for another frag. That's what he's doing, but he's got 50 seconds on him. All right, spotted out as well. I don't see how he wins this out.
No, this would have to be a huge error by Tyloo for him to win. Like, there's no reason for them to both peek him.
Double out?
It's done. Oh. It's over. Yeah, the good old single player with the bomb in apps and lurk AWP routine. That old classic. I don't think that's going to stick somehow. I don't think you're going to see that in your matchmaking games. Something tells me.
That's like a strat roulette kind of a thing. Yeah, a bit of an odd one. And they do get promptly punished for it as well. Somebody doing a monstrous job, though, of finding the frags.
Oh, yeah.
Once they get under pressure, because they do get far up on catwalk without being noticed. So you need to come right if you're going to be Tyloo and actually hold on in that position.
Yeah, if it's not for somebody landing 2 or 3 kills there, the round could still have worked out for Avant at the end of the day. He did a great job, almost a full deco, but APOC has dipped in with some armor.
See if he can actually find a frag as well. Attacker knows he's being pressured from 2 angles. Decides to finally drop the smoke and also gets a kill onto Haza. Make that a follow-up on APOC too. So yeah, the bits of kill over that they had is all gone on the side of Avant. You're just hoping that Attacker is going to go a little bit further up. Doesn't seem to be the case just yet. Well, economical damage seemingly hard to come by here for the T side at this stage. Sterling's still alive, but barring a one-shot, not going to be able to do a whole lot. But there you go. Asking you shall receive. Sterling with a Colt in hand now. Attacker low HP, but doesn't seem to fear anything at all, apparently. Tyloo do close it out with 4 players staying alive.
Indeed, they picked up the travel insurance around 24, so they're going to be just fine. It's been all covered. But we are tied up even. Avant slipping away on their T side, just fading a little bit, but can they muster up a big play and light that fire underneath them in an inspirational moment, get that morale built? Because they're probably thinking at this stage, here we go again. T-side is just not working.
Absolutely. Time will tell. Neither of the teams on their CT side have been too crazy about actually fighting for this mid control. I guess if anything, that's a bit of a small meta change from how Mirage normally plays out. Nade's doing solid damage there. Has a down to half HP. They're going to get the boost into CPL though, and this is a completely uncovered part of the map for Tyloo, so there's openings here. Definitely an opportunity to catch someone off guard on the CT side. Instead, it's going to be somebody actually, having tabs on that area from Kitchen of all places.
Yeah, it's a pretty dirty angle considering he has the AWP, and then you've got Attacker who was on the staircase, also watching jungle and connect up. They indirectly had it covered. That's a solid extinguish because otherwise Freeman was going to burn alive.
I'm getting tagged up the second he tries to fly out of the position. Puts him at risk, but somebody in Bentet going to do their part to secure the ramp for Tyloo here. No bomb plant either. Holding on to the double ops. Tyloo, yeah. Both these teams have just found their stride on the CT sides once they get into the double ops, and T-side's really having a hard time dealing with it. Still think that Avant on their end, they should be focusing on, or should be looking into setting up for these B executes with more of a heavy presence in apps. Again, just being able to close the gap on the upper, making it a difficult retake as well for Tyloo. That could be the answer that you need.
So they know there's double ops in play. Is this where we see a very fast hit from Avant? Is this the moment? They've got pistols.
I mean, you're welcome to try even with pistols, and doesn't mean that it's going to be an easy read necessarily to go back to it once you have weapons as well. But one flash, one smoke. Might just be the fireman smoke there for any sort of Molotov, and the one flash for window. Actually, the smoke actually prevents somebody to get up on catwalk. Hits him in the head as he tries to jump up. Connection is not going to be found either.
When you hear those pistols rattling off at the top of boxes, you've got to anticipate that there's someone coming underpass. Somebody overstayed his welcome for way too long.
Yeah, I think when he heard, it's like two different reactions to hearing pistol shots firing off. Somebody is like, oh, I should be worried about people creeping up close on me. And then you have the people that are, ooh, this means I could get easy kills.
Yeah, that's very true. I have the better firepower. I want them frags. And then suddenly you get deagled in the back.
Yeah.
Or in the face. If you're Freeman, Jira's run out of bullets, but is going to be able to just about survive and sandwich. Someone was thinking about peeking, but again, don't overextend. You're on a 1-on-3, and you're now 14-12 in the lead.
Now then, what might be the last proper buy coming out of Avant here on map number 2. Tyloo eking closer to an upper bracket finals. This is where they make their stand. I'm really hoping that we're going to see some more pressure over towards that B-bomb site. See the updated scoreboard. Attacker, 29 frags to his name. He's been really doing it all here.
Yeah, I mean, for as much as it was the Bentet and Summer Show on the first map, it's been all Attacker, and look at that damage again. No kills, but he's just vaporized a good 100 to 150 health there.
Yeah. Unbeknownst to him, though. Getting so much tag damage through the smoke, and tower being set up here right above overpass, or underpass. So if Attacker is to swing in here, Jira's going to have a pretty significant advantage if he looks the right direction.
Starting to make a move up in underpass, but again, it's slow, it's staggered, it's cautious. And Bentet, he's alert to their presence. And it's definitely going to put a stall to this push, or at least it should have. I mean, you've got to assume from Avant's perspective that they know that that boost is possible then. Once Bentet spots Jira and puts him down. It'd have been a nice shot from Sterling, all things considered, but it's just a drop in the bucket, and he can't even land it anyway. 15-12, 3 match points. Winner of this faces Greyhound. Loser goes to face off against MVP.
Oh, well, this feels like it might be over for Avant. Haven't really found anything at all, and again, they're given mid-control, but not able to do anything with it. Tyloo kind of ran into the same issue for themselves later on into the T side, but at that stage they've already netted themselves 6 solid rounds. That's something to work with. Well, Avant, it's not going to be the B play. Apparently they want to head over towards A. And I'm not liking their chances. Not a whole lot of utility. They do get the smokes down at least for the basic execute, but they need to go on this because they don't have enough utility to wait it out.
They've been pressured and forced by their own hand, by their own bite. The press forward, there's no retreat, no surrender. But Tyloo aren't taking prisoners, 16-12, comfortable in the end, closer than Overpass at least. But the better team came out ahead, and now they move off to face against Greyhounds. The winner of that game qualifies for the major.
It's a big one, right? So both Tyloo and Greyhound are now secured for, at the very least, a third place play-in. If everything goes wrong from this point on, at least they'll make it that far. And that is something. That's a lot of pressure off their shoulders. And I also think we're in for a bit of a treat, actually, in that upper bracket finals. We were expecting a lot closer matchups here in the 2 best-of-3 series that we had today. That was not to be the case, but that was simply because of, I guess, the assumed favorites being that much better in this instance. And I think that also, gives you a pretty good storyline coming into the finals. It's the 2 clear, better-performing teams in the Asian minors so far that are going to be duking it out.
Yeah, but one team has gone unbeaten,
yeah,
and the others had their issues. So I think Greyhound coming into that probably the favorites.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. And again, it's exciting to see, though. If we see another display like we saw in Overpass, maybe Tyloo can be the one to at least give them a map defeat for the first time here in this major. But for now, we're going to head over to the stage where Sue is waiting with an interview with Bentet.
Thank you very much, guys. Congratulations, Bentet. Now you just have 1 best-of-3 ahead of you. So first of all, it was a 2-0. Did you expect it to go as easily as it did against Avant?
We expect to win against Avant because we study them and we have a good boot camp before this event, so we feel confident for this minor.
When you were studying Avant, what did you specifically notice that you knew you could sort of utilize and play against them with?
We watch a lot of demos in Overpass. I know they will pick Overpass, and we just pressure them a lot in city side, and it works.
Speaking about Overpass, it was a win, but it was very, very convincing. You guys just looked utterly dominant the entire time. Do you think it's just because of the preparation that you had, or how do you think you were able to get so many rounds?
Not only the preparation, because at the first match we play Alpha Red, we lose. At Overpass, we talk through things, how we lose, and we watch our demos. We fix a lot of things in city, and after that we prepare for a fun, and it works. Yeah.
Well, moving forward, you have another Australian team. It's Greyhounds, who are looking really, really strong at this minor as well. So what are your thoughts on them?
I think Greyhound really improved, and I'm looking forward to play against them. I think it's gonna be a great match. I hope we're gonna take the win.
The last question, I know that this roster of Tyloo has had some changes in the last month or so. How do you feel about how the team is playing together now after a little bit of time of being able to practice together?
Of course, after a lot of practice, like 1 month, I think we find a new structure to the team. We start to build our chemistry together, and we still need time to practice more.
Well, so far at least you're looking great, so congratulations once again. And with that, it'll be Tyloo taking on Greyhound. It should be an exciting match tomorrow.
Should be, could be, but for all intents and purposes, thank you, Hansel Ferdinand, for that one. And we're going to begin to talk about this team as a whole. I see a couple smiles on the faces down here. It's almost as if this is how we plan this to go. This is what the script read. And more importantly, the simulation continues with Tyloo picking up a W here.
Yeah, we kind of expected it to happen. A little bit of closer affair on map number 2. I've got to give credit to Avant for playing the way they did. It just showed up a little bit of a fight in that first half. But Attacker, man, 32 kills, over 125 ADR.
Yeah.
5 opening kills. He was just going off there.
Attacker was all over the place, and just in general, we can see Sterling and here Jira in the best 5 players of this map. Just a signal that, yeah, as you said, it was a little bit closer than we expected. And what was impressive and what bodes well for Event continuing this competition is the fact that they started really roughly on that map. They were down 6-2. At this point, Tyloo wins a pistol eco round, so yikes, you would never like to see this. And then they actually fight back. They have this resilience to kind of resist. It wasn't enough, but I'm happy that we